So what I'm holding in my hand here is a complete ration for beef cattle. Now when we're trying to feed our animals, one of the things we want to make sure is that we have a complete feed. And when I say a complete feed, what I mean is that it has all the required nutrients for our animals. So if you look closely in this feed, some of the things you're going to see is you're going to see a little bit of corn, you're going to see some silage, and you're also going to see some hay. And you can see those kind of fibrous stalks of hay. All of these are important aspects when we're trying to feed our market steers. First of all, with the grain, we want to make sure that we're providing these animals with what we call concentrates or grain. This is what's really going to give them a lot of energy and carbs to be able to help them grow quickly. This grain will also supplement protein in order to put on muscle for them. One of the things that we need to remember when we're feeding our market steers is that these market steers need to get to about 1,300 pounds in order to be at their ideal market weight. In order to reach that weight, we need to make sure that they have average daily gains of 2.5 to 3 pounds a day. And so we need to make sure that their feed is really, really complete in order to help them reach these goals. All right, for our market steers, one of the things that we're really going to have to focus on is making sure that we weigh our feed. When we're weighing our feed for our animals, most of our market youth who are raising these market steers, they are not going to be doing a ration like I showed you earlier. Rather, they're going to be buying grain from their local feed store and feeding hay as well. When you're feeding grain, one of the things you want to remember is that for every 100 pounds of steer body weight, you want to feed them between 2 to 2.5 pounds of grain. This is just really helpful to make sure that these animals are really getting the proper nutrition. However, you want to make sure that you make adjustments in your steer's feed very slowly. If you do too much of an adjustment with your grain, you are going to run into issues of having bloat or your animal going grain sour, where they won't eat any grain. So you want to make sure that you're making these changes very slowly. On top of feeding them grain, you want to make sure that you're providing roughages for them. Some of the roughages you might provide are alfalfa hay or grass hay. And one of the things to remember is you don't necessarily need as high of a quality of hay to feed these animals, but you do need to make sure that they have at least 3 to 5 pounds a day so that they can be getting that fiber into their rumen and make sure that it's keeping their rumen healthy and keeping the animal healthy overall. Another important thing to consider with market steers is often steers do better when there's a buddy system, when there's some competition for feed. And when you're feeding a steer, you might be feeding one steer and he might kind of be lazily eating because he has no competition. However, when you have two steers, a lot of times those two will really push each other because it's basically last one at the dinner table loses. And so they can be able to push each other to help each other gain more weight and just be able to overall gain faster. While most of our feeds that we're going to be feeding are really well balanced and contain minerals and vitamins, you may also want to make sure that you provide a mineral block to these animals just to make sure that they're getting everything they need. With this, you also want to make sure that they have ample amounts of water so that they can be able to be growing efficiently and continue to be healthy while they're growing.